Right, hi. So, day 4. So, you should have done your 5 minutes corpse posture already this morning. Um, the great thing about the corpse posture is the go-to kind of yoga, because yoga works as medicine. You know, there's different postures can be prescribed, you know, in just like a prescription of medicine. And the corpse posture is basically your go-to. Generally, people doing a lot of different types of yoga will use corpse posture at the beginning and end of their yoga session, typically, um, and it's sort of like regulatory. Helps to regulate the whole bodily system, you know, especially the breathing. But the breathing regulates all the other systems. It regulates the digestion and, you know, etc. Blood flow, blood pressure. Um, yeah, so it will also, if you're doing it properly, you will also find that you know, your posture and your breathing will be, you know, you can feel it being regulated as you're lying there. And you'll find your breathing getting deeper, or you should. That ideally, that's what's happening. Your breathing will get deeper. You'll become aware of the natural movement of your lungs and your breathing, and that should just become automatic, so that you become unconscious of it then, and that frees up your mind for um, you know, other things, this sort of development, for example. So right, day 4, we're going to follow probably a kind of pattern in terms of like a kind of numerology pattern, so to a certain extent. So we're going to look at the 4 different quadrants or elements. Like, so the physical one we just looked at, because we've done the corpse posture. In a sense, that's also bringing the breath, which would represent the spirit, into the body, which would represent the earth. So you're joining those two as elements together there, in a sense. So you should also be feeling like you open up your right side of your brain more, and you can deal with some of these more different concepts better. Right, so the next level is the emotion. We're going to think, I want you to think of the worst kind of emotion that actually brought tears to your eyes, the sort that you don't want to think about. You know, you avoid thinking about those kind of emotions. You know, try and remember one of them. You know, remember how you got into that emotion. Try to feel it as much as you can for a minute or two, and then come back out of it. You know, and remember how you got out of it again. And then when you've done that, then do the same sort of thing, but with the most positive emotion that you can remember and bring to mind. Do the same thing with that. So then you've covered your emotional aspect. Now you go on to the mental aspect. Think of a time when you've been really on form, like sharp as a pin, you know, and everything was just, you were thinking really clearly about stuff, you know, like, and you didn't have any mental blocks and that, and you know, it might have only been a few hours, but, or, you know, we've all had those times where we're just really on form, you know, mentally, and we're just really mentally alert, and much more than we normally are. And just remember back to one time like that. Try to remember as best you can how you got into that situation, what circumstances led to it, and then what led you to come out of it again. And then do the same thing with whether that at a time when you've had like a really serious mental block. You know, how the mental block started, you know, what led up to it, you know, and how you eventually resolved it. You know, just feel what it was like to feel, you know, to have that mental block, and then how you got past it and that. So then you've covered the mental aspect. And then you can just spend a bit of time um, going over, thinking about some of the more spiritual stuff, a spiritual awakening that you might have had, right? You know, and try to go back into it um, for a bit, meditate on it, and then think about the possibilities now of what you're going to be going into um, with this stuff, opening up these new levels of higher dimensions, because we're still just on the physical plane. But this is the physical plane. We're dealing with it now. It includes all these other planes to a certain extent. These other planes are what make up the physical plane. So part of the physical plane is to just be going over what it means to be a physical person, and that means to have emotions, to have a mind, to have a spirit. So we want to clear all the ground, understand all these areas, what they are, exercise them, feel them out as much as we can. That's today's thing, right? You can do more. You can do 40 minutes of this. Do 10 minutes roughly on each thing.